Yeah, hi everyone. So I think let us recap from the yesterday's session. So I think in the yesterday's session we have discussed about locators, how to identify the locators, and observed XPath and relative XPath, and how to identify the CSS. So and also we discussed about selectors hub. So using selectors hub, we discussed like how to identify the locators, and we have created a sample scripts in Playwright. So in a traditional way, and we discussed about what is a Chromium browser, what is WebKit, and what is Firefox. And we wrote a sample script here. Uh, so our intention is I wanted to navigate to the sourcedemo.com. So then we tried entering the username, password, click on login. So as part of this, we created a simple script here. So here we did not use the Playwright test framework. Rather, I have written directly a TypeScript program using the Playwright test using by importing the required modules. I think yesterday we tried to run this, we got an error, but I tried again, but I'm not able to resolve this because I'm getting some version mismatch. I tried multiple times, but still I'm getting an error. So, but anyway, I can explain you. I mean, the reason I want to explain this is because so when you don't want to use the Playwright test framework, so you have to write each and every command like this. If I want to launch a browser, I need to use your respective browser where you wanted to navigate to. Like if it is a Chromium browser, use chromium.launch. If this is a Firefox, use firefox.launch. Again, webkit.launch. Like that, we need to use the respective browser. Then we discussed this is going to launch a browser instance. So once the browser instance is launched, then we discuss that we need to create a new context. So we also discussed that context is nothing but it is kind of an isolated browser environment. So once the context is created, then you need to create a new page. So new page is something where we actually write our code, like navigating to the window and navigating to the website, entering the username, password, everything can be done on the page. So once you got a page, then we have to call this page.goto. It will navigate to this website. Then wait for timeout. It will wait for fixed time. So now, in general, if you want to write the automation script, this is how you can write. But in Playwright, as I told you, as soon as you install the Playwright, we also get the Playwright test framework. So in the Playwright test framework, so we have following fixtures. So there is a browser fixture, context fixture. So let us discuss about this as part of today's session. What are the Playwright test fixtures? What are the Playwright fixtures? Then we will discuss how to write an automation script using Playwright test framework. Then we will discuss about write the scripts using different locators in Playwright. I think as part of the last two sessions, we have discussed so many locators. So in today's session, we'll see how to use those locators and identify the elements. Okay, so before that, so let us try to discuss about what are these Playwright fixtures. So in Playwright, we have following fixtures like browser, context, page, browser name, and request. So this browser, context, page, and browser name, these are used for a browser automation. Whereas request, this is used for API automation. So now I wanted to create the same test case. Whatever we have written here, the same test case, I would like to write using Playwright test framework. So let me create a new file here. So I would say source demo login.spec.ts. Yeah. So now here in Playwright, there are two functions. One is the test function. Another one is expect. So the test function is used to create the test cases. Because if I want to make or if I want to create any test cases, you need to use this test function. So this test function accepts two parameters. One parameter is the name of the test. The second parameter is an async block where you can write the code. Then expect is a function which is used to verify the expectations, because suppose once the page is logged in successfully, I want to check if the inventory page is displayed or not, or a error message is displayed or not. If I want to verify any others, then we can make use of this expect. Okay. So now let me go here. So I would say import test comma expect. So from Playwright tester. Okay. So now, so I have imported. So now I have imported this test function and expect from Playwright test framework. So now I want to log into the source demo. So I would say test. So first one is you have to provide the name of the test. So here I'm providing the name as source demo login test. So after that, the second parameter, what you need to do is you need to pass the async block. So here I am providing async, and within the flower braces provide the fixer. We'll discuss shortly about this fixer. So I'll provide the fixer here, then write the code here. Okay. So this is a simple test case. So now I have imported the test function. The test function accepts the test name and async block. So this async block is nothing but your test case. Then expect. So this expect is used for assertions. So now here in async block, we need to use the fixers. So as I told you, we have following fixes in the Playwright. We have browser, context, page, browser name. We use this for browser automation. Request is used for API automation. So in this case, what is the use of fixers? So the main purpose of fixers is earlier in the sample script, if I want to navigate to this website, we need to create all these things. You need to create browser instance. I need to create the context. I need to create the page. Once you create the context and browser and page, then using the page, you can navigate to a browser like a URL in the browser and identifying the element. Everything can be done on the page. So that means if I want to use page here, first I need to create a browser instance, then context, then page. But when you go to this Playwright test framework, you don't need to do all these things, because if I want to use a page, I'll just keep the page fixture. The rest of the things will be taken care by Playwright test framework, because if I want to have this page, before this, we need to have the context created. Before that, we need to have the browser instance created. So creating the browser instance and context will be taken care by the Playwright test framework. So that is the advantage of fixtures. So I don't need to create a browser instance separately. Again, creating context and creating the page. So those things you don't need to do explicitly, because the moment I use this page fixer, so before this page fixer, whatever you required, that will be taken care by Playwright test framework. Suppose if I want only browser instance here, you can provide this browser fixer you can give here. Okay. So now based on your requirement, whatever you need, whether you need a browser fixer or context fixer or page fixer or browser name, you can provide this here. So if I want to perform login to the sourcedemo.com, I don't need a browser and context. If I use this page, that is fine. So that's the reason I am directly using the page fixer. But in some test cases, you might need context, and in some test cases, you might need browser fixers. Those things we will discuss as we progress with the sessions. So for this test case, you don't need to use any of the browser or context. So I can directly use the page fixer. So as I told you, the creation of browser and context will be taken care by the Playwright test framework. So now I'm using the page fixer. So now I would say await page dot go to, yeah, I'll navigate to the sourcedemo.com. So it will go to the sourcedemo.com. So now Once you navigate here, I wanted to enter the username. So identify the properties. So now, so what are the different properties available here? Yeah, we can see it has a placeholder text. So it has a data text and ID. I'll use this placeholder because we discussed like get by text, get by we have multiple locators that we discussed in the last session. Get by text, get by placeholder, and get by data text. Like that, we have so many locators. For now, we can use this placeholder because it has this property. So now I would say await page dot get by placeholder. So get by placeholder. So use this placeholder. This is the name of the placeholder. Okay. So now there is a method fill. The fill method is used to enter the data. So in the same way, I am entering the password. So you can identify the password field here. So yeah, you can see even for the password field, it has a password placeholder. I'm using get by placeholder, providing this. Then I want to click on the login button. So yeah, for the login button, what does it has? So you can use like ID, like using ID, you can form the CSS. So we usually prefer to have uh, get by placeholder or get by text or get by data text ID. Those properties we don't see here. So I can form the CSS locator using this ID. So now I'll go and give dot get by, sorry, for CSS and XPath, you can directly use locator. So locator, and since it has ID, give hash and login. So this is the ID and dot click. So this will perform login. So now let me run here. So once you are done with the login, so next I wanted to verify this inventory.html, or I want to verify if this fog labs text has been displayed or not. You can do any of the assertions. So let me check here. Yeah, I want to check this fog labs text. Let's see how we can verify that. I would say expect. Yeah. So there are two things we can do. So yeah, I would say expect URL to be this one. I can verify that if the URL is this one, because once I log in successfully, we'll see this URL. So I want to check if this URL is displayed or not. That is one check. Or I can also check this fog labs. Let's say, let us do both. So now I would say expect. Yeah, so it's directly giving. So now I'll check for this swag labs. So what does it has? It has the text. So I would say get by text directly. Page dot get by text. So what is the text I am looking for? This text. So dot text content. So there is a method text content. So it will give the text content to be product. Sorry, this should be this one. This would be Swag Labs. Yeah, now you can see. So now, and one more thing. So I think it returns promise. So we need to use await here. So again, check page.url. Okay, here it doesn't bring any promise. So we can directly use this. So now this will navigate to the website. This will enter a username, password, click on the login. So this expect is used to check the assertion. So I'm checking if the URL is this one. Here I'm checking the Swag Labs text is contains this Swag Labs. So this is a simple test case how you can write in Playwright test framework. So here the advantage is you can directly use the fixers. You don't need to create each and everything. Okay, so now let us go here. Okay, I think we need to use this. Yeah. So now, yeah. So here I'll choose only one option because I want to run only on one browser. So I'll keep only Chrome. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let me run this. Now let me run this program. So go to this login spec. So now, yeah, we can directly say npx playwright test. So you need to give the file name here. Yeah. So then I would give headed. I should perform login in the SaaS demo website. Yeah, it is running the SaaS demo login test. So enter the username, password, click on the sign in, and it has successfully verified and the test case has been passed. So now let me run the report. So here there is an option npx playwright show report. It will open the report. Let me run this command. So yeah, once if you run this right, it is going to show you the latest report. Yeah, this is the latest report. So now click on this. So yeah, if I click on this, you can see here there are before hooks and after hooks. If I click on before hooks, you see it has created a browser instance, then it has created a context, and it has created a page. But I did not create all these three instances. I did not create a browser, or I did not create a context from the browser. Again, same with the page. So since I have used the page fixer, so for the page, what are the prerequisites? It has to create a context. Before context, it has to create a browser instance. So that will be taken care by the Playwright test framework. So once it is done, so we need to close each of these instances. Like a page I need to close, context I need to close, browser I need to close. So if I don't close, then the resource will be consumed. So for the reason, once your test case is done, we need to close the page, context, and browser. So that is being taken care inside the after hook. It will close the page and context. So that means if you don't handle this, if I directly use the fixer, then Playwright test framework will take care of all these things. So how you can create a test? Use the test function. For this function, you need to pass two parameters. One is your test name. The second parameter is async block. Okay. So in the async block, you need to pass the fixer which you wanted to use. Then we have written the code. And if you observe one more thing, I did not use any weights here because in Playwright, you don't need to use any weight. By default, Playwright test framework will take care of that. So by default, the main wait time is 30 seconds. So let me do one thing. I'll remove here. I'll keep login one. Let us see what will happen. So I did not give any wait time here, but since I gave incorrect locator, this is going to fail, but it will wait for 30 seconds before it fails. So let me run this. Yeah, so yeah, because we gave incorrect locator, so now it will wait for 30 seconds before it fails. So we for clicking on the login button, so we gave incorrect locator ID here. So hash ID, so ID login button, but we gave login button one. So you should fail the test case after 30 seconds because the default wait time in Playwright is 30 seconds. So if the element is not able to locate, it will keep on trying for the element for 30 seconds. Even after 30 seconds, if it is not available, then it will give an error like this. So located at click, test timeout of 30,000 milliseconds because the default wait time is 30 seconds. Okay. But in the next session, we will discuss like how to specify this timeout and how to increase or decrease. So this can we will discuss in the next session. So now we have seen a sample script and how to run that sample script and how to identify the locators. So now we'll try all different locators. Okay. Yeah, first we'll try all different locators. So I have a page here. So that page has all different elements. Okay. So this is a page I have created. Then here you can identify all the elements like get by text, get by label, get by placeholder, get by alt text. So we will try identifying each of them and get the data. Okay. So now I'll create a new test here. So the test name I'll give as all playwright locators. So now this is a website that we have to navigate to. So yeah, we'll try one by one. So first I want to get by text. I want to identify this element by text and get this text. So let us try that. I want to print the text. So what is the text here? So it has the text as, so what is the text? Yeah, your subscription will expire. This is the text. So now I'll try this, or you can try this. Anything is fine. Let me try this. I'll get this complete text. So now what we can do, once you navigate to that website, I would say await page dot get by text. So this is the text actually. So now, yeah, this it will identify the element. Once the element is identified, I want to get the text. So to get the text, yeah, so I'll use a method dot. Actually, I need to turn off the AI suggestions because since the AI suggestions are already enabled, it is automatically giving the code. So I don't want that. We can go and turn off here. Yeah, because I don't want to enable this. So yeah, let me try now. Because it is giving the suggestions, so it is confusing a bit. Okay, I'll try this. Yeah. So get by text, I'm giving this text. It will identify the element by text. Now I want to get the text content. Okay. So what this does is it is going to give you the text. So I would say let get by text. So now the text, whatever the text that we get, that will be stored here. I want to print this console.log. So I'll print this text, get by text. So this is a variable. We can print the variable directly. Okay. So that means this will identify the element by text and print the text. So now in the second test case, I want to get by role. So now here there is a field username. So I want to identify this username field and I want to enter the data like hello or you test username, anything I want to enter here. So now if you observe here, there are two fields. One is a label, another one is the input. So now I wanted to identify this element by using the label and I want to get the text. So now let us see how you can do that. So instead of get by text, I can say dot get by label. So what is the label text available here? So username. So you can pass that. Okay. And text contains. So I will give get by label. So it will identify the element by label username and it will get the text. So here I am identifying the locator using the label, which is username. So if you observe here, it has a label as username. I mean, the tag name is label. It has username. So I used this. So again, in the same way, get by placeholder. I think this we already discussed it just now in SaaS demo website. We identified the username and password by using the placeholder. So now I want to get by alt text. So get by alt text is based on the image. So now here, if you observe, so for the first element, there is a alt text primary user avatar, and I want to get the source attribute of this element. Okay. First, I want to identify this element using alt text. Once I identify this element, I want to get this src attribute. Let us try that. So now what I will do here, await page dot get by alt text. This is the alt text. So it will identify the element by alt text. So that means it will identify this whole element. So once the element is identified, I want to get the attribute src. So now what I can do here is I would say dot get attribute. So which attribute you want to get? src. So this is going to give you the source attribute. So now I would give get by alt text. Okay. So now let me print this. So yeah, this will be alt text. So this is the way how you can use the alt text. So alt text is usually for images. You can identify the alt text of an element and can give you that. So it will identify the element. So in this case, I am identifying the image and getting its source attribute. Okay. So let me run this test case. I'll comment this for now because we already ran this. So now I'll run only this. So let me run this. Yeah. So now this should give you the text, and second one should give you the labeled text value. Third one should give you the source attribute. So everything should be printed to console. Yeah, now you can see it has printed everything. So for the first element, note this text is spanning multiple tags. So it is able to identify the element. It got the text content that you have provided. Okay. So then there is another one, get by label. So it identified the element, but it did not give any data. We'll see that. Whereas the third one, it was able to identify the element and got the source attribute. So that means, so we are able to locate the elements using text and alt text. Let us check about the label. Okay. So it has label. Okay. So let us try this. So yeah, get by label. And so you should identify the element using label. Okay.
I think that is the text, am I right? The one which you copied is the text. Label is the we need to use either for or other attributes, maybe like with the text. I don't know. Maybe I might be wrong.
Yeah. So actually here, I want to get this text. So yeah, label it has identified. So the label is username. So it has identified the element, but it doesn't have the text. So maybe yeah, as you told, right? Let me try with the fur. I'll try with fur dot attribute. I would say get attribute. So let me try this. Okay. So this is fur. I'll try fur attribute. So now let me run. Yeah, now, oh, I think we got null for attribute. Get attribute of for. Okay, so it did not identify. Probably it's referring this element. So we'll try this. So now what I will do is, so instead of this, I would say dot fill. test user I'll give because I think it will identify the immediate element. So let us try this. It should fill the data. So now let me run this. Oh, sorry. So we'll do one thing. I'll give the wait time. So wait, page dot, wait for timeout. I'll give 5 seconds. This is for fixed wait time to see the execution of the page. Yeah, now you see. So basically here the label is identifying the attached element. So in this case, we have this username, which is a label, but it is trying to identify the attached element with the label. So in this case, the attached element is this input field. So that's the reason it is trying to identify the attached element of input field. So now it is able to enter the data successfully. So now, yeah, we have seen label, placeholder, alt text. Now let us try with get by title. So yeah, get by title. So now I want to identify this element and I'll get this class attribute or anything. So like a current locator, anything I want to get. Okay, I will do one thing. So this element, I'll identify this title and get this text. So let us try that. So yeah, I would say await page dot get by title. So yeah, it will identify the element dot inner text. So yeah, I'll explain you later like what is the difference between inner text and text contents. For now, if you want, you can use the text contents. But in the next sessions, I'll let you know like what is the difference between inner text and text contents. So now I would say here, so this should be get by title. So now let me print the title. So here I am identifying the element using the title and printing the title. So I'm getting the text and printing the text. So let me run this. Now I should get the title. Yeah. So now, yeah, we got it. Hover for status because it is able to identify the element by the status. Then we are able to get the text content of it, which is hover for status. So now we are able to identify the elements using different locators like text, label, placeholder, alt text, title, and so now let us discuss about get by role and get by text ID. So what is a get by role and how to identify the elements using the get by role? So basically, this role properties is used to identify an element by using accessible properties. So generally, I think if you are aware of accessibility testing, so accessibility testing means like testing applications whether they support the for the disabled people. Suppose if someone is blind and if they wanted to use the application, so they use some tools called JAWS. To JAWS, they will go and they'll click on the keyboard. They'll click on tab. It will go to a locator. Then it will announce the name of that element. If it goes here, then it will announce the name of this element. So like that, generally this role mainly focuses on the accessibility of the application. So accessibility means how friendly it is for the disabled people to access the application. So based on the accessible locators, the JAWS and other tools can read and speak to the disabled people to use the application. So now if I want to use the get by role, so for each element, you have a different name. So let me show you like how this works. Yeah. So if I want to use by role, different elements will have different names. Suppose let's say if an element is having nav tag, then we have to use get by role navigation. If it has a header and the area role type is banner, we need to use get by role banner. In the same way, footer, get by role, content info. So like that, we have different things. If you are interacting with a button, and if I want to use that, you have to provide get by role. The role name of that element is button, and you can use any accessible name. So what is mean by accessible name? So accessible name can be anything that you see with respect to that element. Suppose now in this case, so I want to identify this element using role locator, let's say. So let us try how we can do that. Let me enable this. So for the username field, I don't want to use placeholder, rather I want to use get by role. So now I would say dot get by role. So first you need to provide the role name. So what is the role name of this field? So this is actually a text box of type input it has. Now, if that is a text, if that is the input field which accepts the text, the role name for that would be, so yeah, what should be the role name? So the role name can be this one. So the role name for text boxes, you see, input type radio. Yeah, if you see input type text area or text, it is a text box. So now here I need to select the role as text box. You can see here text box. Okay. So after that, you need to provide the name of the element. So the accessible name of the element. So what is the accessible name of this element here? So you identify this. Yeah, you can see the accessible name can be anything that you see here. Like it has, okay, it doesn't have any accessible name. So what is the accessible name? Generally, accessible name can be its label or the text or anything that is associated to that element. So in this case, it doesn't have any accessible name. And so, yeah, if you don't have any accessible name, I can directly use this input. So the locator, get by role text box I can use and I can fill the data. I would say fill, you can provide the data. So yeah, this is how you can use the get by role property. In the same way, like suppose if I go with the buttons, then I have to use get by role. The accessible name is button. How can I know the accessible name? So for that, you hover the element. So once you hover the element, I think, yeah, you see, once you hover the element, you can right side, you can see one accessibility tab here. Click on the accessibility tag. So then you will get the properties here. So now, what is the role of this element? The role is button. And what is the name? Accessible name is login. So same way for username, let's try what it does has. Yeah, it has, yeah, the name is username. Accessible name is username. Role is text box. Okay. I can use this username as accessible name. So now I would say name is text box. So fill the data. So what is the data that I want to fill? Standard user. So yeah, let me run this test case. So it should perform the login. So here we use the role attribute of an element.
Login button element locator is wrong.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, we'll see for this. Yeah. So yeah, now you see it has entered username and password. We use the get by role here. So the get by role is nothing but the role attribute. So here it has identified successfully that element. Yeah, since this locator is wrong, it may fail. But this is how you can use the role attribute. So generally, the first preference is to go with role, then get by placeholder, get by text. I think we have already specified the order. What is the order of these locators? So yeah, so this is how you can identify the element, okay, using the role attributes. Again, for link, you will be having the role attribute as a link. So if you want to see that, just give double quote, then you see there are different role attribute role names you are seeing here. For alerts, use alert. For alert dialog, like article, banner, button, caption, cell. So like that, there are so many roles available. So for based on the element, so you need to specify the right role. So if you want to know the right role, as I told you, you can hover to the element and go to this accessibility. Then it will give you the name of the accessible name and also the role. Okay. So you can use this to identify the role and accessible name. Okay. Yeah, this is how we can identify using the role. I think we also have guidelines here. If we come down, so what is the accessible name? So one common mistake is thinking name only refers to the name attribute in HTML. In get by role, it refers to the accessible name, which playwright calculates based on the text content of the element. So that means the accessible name can be the text content of an element or the area label attribute or the text of connected label. I think earlier we have seen one input field. For that, there is a label which has connected text. That means the accessible name can be the content of an element or the area label attribute or the connected label text or for images it is an alt text. So you can use any of these properties as uh, name for role attribute. Okay. So this is all about get by role. So now let us discuss about get by test ID. So there is another property test ID. So now let us go to this website. So playground dot prompt dot dev. Okay, let me try this. Yeah, so now I'll go to this website. I'll click on sign in. Then I'll let me click on create a new account. So if you click on this, let us identify this element. So full name I want to enter here. Yeah, if you observe here, there is a property data text ID. So if an element is having this attribute data text ID, you can directly use get by text ID. So in the same way, if I want to enter the email, so what is the attribute it has? It has data test ID as sign up email. So here for these elements, I can use the data test ID. So let us try this. So I'll create a new case here. So for now, I'll comment these two test cases because these were already executed. So now I'll change this. So get by data test ID. Okay. Yeah. So now let us go to this website. Yeah. So now once you go here, so I want to enter only full name. So this has a data test ID. So I can use that data test ID attribute. I'll remove all these things. I'll directly use data test ID dot get by data test ID, that is test ID. This is the attribute dot fill. I'll use fill to enter the data test user. Okay. So now let us wait for 5 seconds to see the execution. So let me run this test case. So it should navigate to that website and it should enter the data. Yeah, and click skipping tour. You see, it has entered the test user. So here I use the get by test ID since it has test ID property. But actually in Playwright, we have an option to change this data test ID. That means, suppose let's say after some time, this data test ID has been changed to data-tester. But now earlier we used data test ID, but now the data test ID has been changed to data-test, let's say. So if that is the case, what you can do is, so you can rename this only this data test attribute in Playwright configuration file. So I'll show you one example here. I'll go to the source demo. So I want to enter the username by using data test ID, let's say. So what does it has? Data test is username. So now let me enable this. So instead of get by role, I would say dot get by test ID. I'm using this test username. So that means for this element, there is a property data test. But by default, Playwright identifies data test ID. But let's say some reason this data test ID has been changed to data test. Now the Playwright will still identify data test ID, the element. But now I don't want Playwright to identify data test ID. Instead of that, I want it to identify data tester. Okay. So if that is the case, then what we can do is in Playwright, there is an option to configure that attribute in the Playwright configuration file. So now let us go to the Playwright configuration file. So yeah, in the Playwright configuration file, so there is a section use. So go to section use. Yeah, this is the use section. Here we can define one attribute, test attribute. So now this test attribute I'll declare as data-test. What does this mean? If I don't define this, by default, it will try to identify using this property, data-test ID. But now I am instructing Playwright to use data test instead of data test ID. Now, instead of data test ID, it will wherever you use this get by test ID, it will try to identify using this property data test instead of data test ID. So now let me run this. Now this script should pass. This will fail because here this element has data test ID, not data test. So this will fail. So let me run this. So this is how you can rename the data test ID locator. You can specify which you want in the file, in the config file. I'll just keep this. Okay. But anyway, it will fail. So the one test should pass, one should be failed. So this should pass because it will enter the username, password, and everything. This should fail because we don't have any data test here. We have renamed data test ID to data test. I think it's taking some time. Okay, yeah. So now, yeah, you see that. Yeah, one is source demo login is passed because we renamed the data test ID, and the other one is failed because it still has data test ID. Okay, so it is not able to locate an element using data test ID. So these are all about the locators in Playwright. So we discussed about inbuilt locators of Playwright. Then we have discussed like how to identify element using each of the locator. Then we use the CSS as well. And so yeah, this is all about the locators. So in the next session, we'll discuss like how to handle checkboxes and input fields, radio buttons, drop downs. So that we'll discuss in the tomorrow session.